2020 is a decade of AI. 2025 will be the year of AI agents. And this will be the year where a certain number of people will claim a significant amount of territory in this space. Yes, this year I'm feeling the same level of urgency as you guys. And as many of you guys know, I've put my money on conversational AI agents, specifically voice agents with Vapi AI. These are agents that can pick up the phone, reply to text, reply across platforms, and can execute any functions through automated workflows. And I'll give you an example. Our 2025 AI Advantage agent is currently indistinguishable from a human and is the most advanced agent yet. It can leave notes, book meetings, reschedule meetings, send text messages, send emails, reply to those messages across all platforms. It even has perfect memory across all of those platforms, including voice, chat, text, email, you name it. And of course, it can flawlessly call out from a lead list 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and escalate interested customers to a human agent and delete or freeze uninterested leads. And of course, much, much more. Now, if you want to grab this insane chance in 2025, there's no way around it. You're going to have to learn what are and how to use transient agents. And I'll help you figure that out in this video. So let's get into it. Right. So first, I'm going to tell you what is the difference between persistent and transient agents. And then I'm going to show you how to actually quickly build that transient agents and use all of that function and functionality and opportunities that you get by using transient agents, or rather the advantages that you get. So the big difference between persistent and transient agents is that persistent agents are built inside of the Vapi dashboard and transient agents are built in JSON. So a quick example of a transient agent would be if you were to log in to Vapi. So you go to vapi.ai, you make an account, click assistants, create new assistant, appointment setter, for example, and then create assistant. Then this is going to be a persistent assistant. You built it by logging into Vapi and clicking all of these buttons. Now, of course, that's a great way to do it if you're building it for yourself and want something quick and that works. But if you want to go to that higher level and really take advantage of AI agents in 2025, you're going to have to switch to transient agents. Now, what is that? Transient agents are built from JSON. So as you can see, this is just a configuration. This assistant tells us this is a configuration for an assistant. So what is the first message that the assistant speaks? Which model is used? What is the provider of that model? OpenAI. What is the model of OpenAI? ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo. What are the messages that is being sent to that agent? You are Ryan's assistant. So that content is the prompt that is given to the agent in order to know what his instructions are, how to reply, how to perform that call. So what you're actually doing when you're logging into Vapi, the Vapi dashboard, and clicking all of these buttons, is that in the background, Vapi is building this up, this entire configuration. And every time a call comes in, it's replying to that call with the JSON that you've built here by typing all of this up. So it's kind of a quick and easy way to do it. So this, of course, works perfectly, and I do advise you to actually log into, even if you're completely familiar with transient agents, you're way above that level where you're only using transient agents. I would still advise you to log in sometimes and go through all of the settings, because it's a really easy way to keep up with all of the Vapi updates and all of the new functionalities that they have. So the way that we're going to build our first transient agent is by first going through this entire thing. Or rather, I'm not going to go through this entire thing with you in this specific videos. There's other videos about that, and I'll probably do a future video on it. Specifically now, I want the JSON configuration for that transient agent and explain to you how to work with that JSON and not necessarily how to work in this dashboard. And I'll make sure to make that JSON explanation as simple to follow as possible. All right. So we're in the dashboard right now, and I've actually already built an agent that works quite well. So we're going to delete this one, and of course you can tinker around with it, try it out, use different settings, use different prompts, hover over the quick eye symbol in order to see what everything does if you're not familiar with it. Right now, this Mary is actually a very good bot that works quite well. Right, so what we're going to do is just copy this assistant ID. We're going to go to, well, how do you even get there? We're going to click this. So first you're going to copy this assistant ID because we're going to grab this assistant, get that JSON configuration that is in the background, and then turn that into a transient agent. So first click that, copy that ID. Click this symbol right here, this question mark. Go to API documentation, and then you're going to be here. And what you're going to do is go to get assistant, and then you're going to click play. And then, of course, first you're going to have to authenticate yourself. Now, the way that you're going to do that is you always have your bearer token, which is your unique identifier, and your authentication token, which is kind of like your password, but then for programmers and developers. And the way that you find it is you go to API keys, private key, you copy it right here. And I'm quickly going to do this off screen because the point of that bearer token is that you don't show it to anyone because it's a secret token. And many of you guys have already heard me talk about this too many times, but you don't want to share that secret token with anyone. All right, here we go. And then, of course, right here in this ID part, you're going to grab that assistant ID and paste it in there. Now, this is a GET request, an API GET request, which means that if we put in a single ID, it's going to give us that very specific agent. If we don't give any ID at all, and we perform that request, we're going to get all of the agents in our database. For now, let's use this specific one. So the assistant ID here, and then clicking this and entering your bearer token here. If you send the request, we're going to get that configuration for our agents. So this is the agent configuration that Vapi has built by you clicking all of these buttons inside of the dashboard. Now, very quickly, what is the advantage to using this JSON instead of using the dashboards in order to build agents? And that's that you can actually reply to voice calls with this specific JSON in your own automated workflow like make.com or N8N or your own servers in Superbase, for example. If you're a programmer, you can reply to an assistant request or make an outbound call, so another API call using this JSON. Advantage that you have, very the easiest way to explain that is before you pick up a call or before you make an outbound call, let's quickly copy this and put it in here. So this is JSONeditoronline.org. It's a great way to copy a JSON and to edit a JSON. So for example, if right here I were to remove this one, it's going to tell me that the JSON is wrong. So this is something that you might want to save to your bookmark because it's quite an easy and handy tool to use. All right, so this is an agent. And the reason why you might want to use an agent or a transient agent like this instead of one in Vapi dashboard is if you can reply to a call with an agent inside of your workflow, then you can add things to the prompt. For example, there's many things you can do. You can edit anything, but this is the easiest way to explain why is there an advantage in using transient agents. For example, if every call you want the agent at the beginning of the call to know which time slots are available to book a meeting. What you're going to want to do is use a transient agent because then you can just put that in here. So this is the prompt, as you can see. We have our Mary agent here, and this is the prompt. You are a helpful, friendly, conversational male agent. Mary the male agent. Just don't mention that. And that's here as well. So this is the prompt. But if you're using this one, of course, you can't just automatically add the available time slots in here. That's not going to work. So you're going to use transient agents for that. So basically, if you were to do this in make.com, it's going to look like this, like available time slots, and then the available time slots will be a variable that is a different list of available time slots every call or every week or every day, you name it, and it's going to be put inside of the prompt. So between these quotes is going to be inside of this prompt. So that's one advantage that you have, but you can change anything on the fly per workflow by using transient agents. And that's really what's going to set you apart from other builders in this space who are not using that and not building complex agents. Now, the next step that we're going to go through in this video is that we're going to actually put that into a make.com workflow and reply to a call or an assistant request with this agent configuration. Now, there are some things that we're going to have to remove. For example, the org ID is not supposed to be in there. The general ID is not supposed to be in there. If I remember correctly, the server URL secret is also not going to be in there. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to leave them in there so that I can explain to you how to recognize that problem and how to solve it. So if we were just going to copy this entire thing, which, if you remember, is just what we got here. So copy to clipboard. This is exactly what we got. We're going to copy this entire thing or just leave it here as is for now. We're going to go to make.com. You can make a free account in make.com. Just type in make.com, make a free account. You don't need some paid account in order to do this. With a free account, you get 2 working scenarios at the same time, which is more than enough. We're going to use only one single scenario. So what you're going to see if you've made an account is you're going to see this. You can click scenarios. You're going to click create a new scenario. And then right here, you're going to type in webhook and then click webhooks and then a custom webhook. Many of you guys are already familiar with this. Just for the new guys, I'm making this a bit easier to understand. Right here, you're going to type server URL, click save. And this is the message. This is the URL that your agent is going to send messages to. So we're going to copy that to clipboard. And then right here, we're going to reply to that incoming message. Right. Perfect. And this is just something that I'm going to tell you guys about, but it can't completely go into what it actually does. Or if you're familiar with make.com, you're gonna know exactly what this is. But we only want, so if we were to put this into, if we allow all of the server messages to go to that webhook, then it will be end of call reports and status updates and, well, you name it, all of the server messages is going to be sent here. We're gonna put a filter in here that only the assistant request. So an assistant request is going to look like this, assistant request. Basically what that means is the Vapi platform, the Vapi server is asking for that JSON configuration in order to reply to that call coming in. What kind of agent is supposed to pick up? What is its prompt? What is its first message? What is its model? All of those things. Vapi doesn't know that in this case. So you're going to reply to Vapi. This is what that agent is going to look like. And we're going to filter on those things. All right, so the way we're going to do this is first we're going to copy this address to clipboard. We're going to go back to the Vapi dashboard. And we're going to add a new phone number. By phone number, doesn't really matter where it comes from. 415 is okay. By phone number. Well, in order to do this, in order to buy a phone number in Vapi, you are going to have to add your credit card details. If you're not comfortable with that or you don't have that, you can make a Twilio account, grab your SID, grab your authentication token and buy your own phone number and then put that into Vapi. That's also possible. All right. So we have just bought a new phone number. It's $2 a month. And we're going to, okay, there was actually a way to add server URL here, but not right now. So that's actually not a problem. Just follow along step by step and you'll be able to understand how to build transient agents and how to use them. So we have our new phone number, but now we have to manage where are those server URL or those requests going to go through. So we're going to click this right here, click settings, and then we're going to go here. Now there's something strange with Vapi where you actually have to save this for some reason in order to make it, or you have to wait for a few seconds in order to be able to edit this, so don't worry about that. You're going to go scroll down here and go to server URL. I'm going to quickly edit this into something else, basically actually this one. So if you have this, you can just either copy this entire thing or click copy to clipboard, go back to Vapi, change this. For you, it's probably empty if you haven't built one yet. If you're already familiar with this, you're going to change this into the server URL. The webhook here is going to change into the server URL, and then click save. And then if you refresh the entire page, it should be saying, in this case, 30p. Also, one more thing with Vapi, for some strange reason, it has some difficulties with actually updating this server URL. But if you refresh the page and you've saved it, it will probably work. So that means that all of the messages from all of the assistants and all of the end of call reports, everything that Vapi wants to give you in order to program with is going to be sent to this server URL. So that's a great thing. So that means that if we don't give this phone number an agent, so we just bought a new phone number, but there's no assistant associated with this phone number. So we're not going to click this because that would be a persistent agent, because that would tell Vapi that if a call is coming in, it has to reply with that agent, but we can't edit anything on the fly to that agent. We can't, with every run or every day, we'd have to log in order to do that. We can't automatically change anything to that agent, and that's what we want to do. So we're not going to select an assistant for that phone number, so this has to be empty. And then we are actually going to call that phone number, and then it's going to send a request to our system. So that's what we're going to do right now. All right, here we are. So I set up my phone caller system on the left screen right here. I've copied this one and we're going to make a quick call, and it's going to send a message to our server, but we're not going to be able to actually answer that call with the transient agent yet. We just need that information in order to get this started. So let's make that call and see what Vapi sends us. All right, here we go. Of course, no message or call was answered, but as you can see, we did get an assistant request. So the assistant request was sent to our webhook, and we're going to do two things. First of all, we're going to set a filter because it's going to send all kinds of messages. It's going to send an end of call report, which is a summary of the call that we just made. And it's going to send status updates like someone picked up the phone, someone hung up the phone, someone forwarded the call, all of these things. And a tool execution was performed, or any of those things. It's going to send all kinds of messages to our server, and the only thing that we want for the purpose of this video is to be able to answer that call with a transient agent. So just assistant requests. Okay, so that's what you do right here. You click this bridge and you label it just assistant requests, and for condition you're going to click type, so assistant request type, and then equal to assistant. Okay, that's double S, not supposed to be double S. Request. All right, so the only things that are going to reach this, so all messages are going to be sent to the webhook right here, but not all messages are going to end up at this webhook response, which is exactly what we're looking for. All right, so let's run this thing once, because it is now going to reply with this entire JSON. But as I mentioned before, there are some things in this JSON that are not supposed to be there, that Vapi is not expecting. One of those things are probably going to be the server URL secret, the ID, the org ID, but we'll see what Vapi comes up with. The reason I don't remove them now is because I actually want to show you how to troubleshoot things like this. All right, so let's make another call to that phone number that we just bought. So I'm using my phone caller system that I got right here to make those calls. Save this immediately as data arrives. Turn this on. and then go back. Delete all data. All right. And now let's make another call and see what happens. So one thing I can already tell you, the system is going to say couldn't get assistant because it couldn't pick up that assistant call. Now let's quickly see at what we got as a message. Status update ended. Assistant request returned no assistant, even though we did return an assistant. But the configuration of our assistant JSON was not correct. So this is the assistant response. But what we're actually supposed to do is if we go to the Vapi documentation, so we're going to go here, create call. And we click this. Wait, no, we click assistant. This is what our assistant configuration is supposed to be in. Oh, let's remove that. Name, assistant. All right, so what we're doing is we're creating a call. So we're picking up the phone, of course, that's assistant request, but the same thing with outbound calls, you're creating a call, and with that you have to reply with an assistant. So the assistant has to be inside of this. So what we're going to do, and this can be explained in a minute, this is the next step of our troubleshoot. So this entire thing, all of this, is supposed to be copied and then pasted in here. Then we remove this. Okay, let's see. Remove all of this. There we are. And add this. Oh, go. There we go. All right, so that's just some JSON building. And how could I most easily explain this, what we just did? If we go back to the, so I just really want to help you understand how this JSON works and how the assistant configuration works, because this still isn't perfect, but this is what Vapi expects. So it's not, it expects something inside of assistants, but the ID and the org ID and the secret is still not something that Vapi expects. Okay, so let's see if we can make this look good. Not sure if this is what it's supposed to look like. Is there a better way to make this? Ah, there we go. That looks better. All right. So let's see if we can find that in the documentation. If ever you want to build something like transient agents or use functions, the number one thing that you have to remember is if you go to docs.vapi.ai, you can find all sorts of information about how these things work and how to improve your agents, build your agents, you name it. So if we go scroll through the documentation and see if we can find something that explains how to answer these calls. So you're just going to go through and see if you can find something that is going to be relevant for your question. So one of the things we might look at is quick start, inbound calling. I couldn't really find it here, or rather perhaps we can find it here. Nope, nothing here. So that's what you're going to do if you're trying to solve a problem. If you're a builder, is you're going to go through the documentation of the platform that you're building with, try to find some tabs that are relevant to your question and just read the entire thing in order to find one that works for you. So I think that what we're going to need is either assistance or the server URL. So we have assistance here, but I don't think this is the one that we're going to need. Server events. And then assistant request. So retrieving assistance. Right, so your server should respond with it. So assistant requests, if we look here, for inbound phone calls, you may want to specify the assistant based on the caller's phone number. If phone number doesn't exist, you have an assistant ID. Vapi will attempt to retrieve the assistant from your server. So this is a transient assistant. As you can see, it looks similar to what we have right here. So we have the curly bracket, assistant, and then everything inside of those curly brackets. And that's the same thing that you have right here. Now, I think that the assistant template or example that you get right here is already something that you can answer the phone with. But of course, not a lot of things are added here. This is not the high level agent that you're going to want to use. So what we basically did here is we've added all sorts of things that will make the assistant better, basically. So to make it more perform better, make it more customizable. But this is how you're going to be able to see what does that assistant actually look like. So at first we did not have this assistant rounded. And if we look here, if we respond to a message, we need to put everything inside of an assistant. Right, if we go back to the API reference, go back to create a call, and then go to play, then this is going to show us exactly what is required in order to reply to an assistant. So if you look right here, we need to add a transcriber, we need to add a model, we need to add a voice, all of these things, and they're also included in what we have right here. So we have the voice, we have the model, which is GPT-4o, we have the transcriber, which is Nova 2. So all of these things are included right here. Now, the next step to troubleshooting this thing is actually copying all of this and putting that inside of here. So as you can see, this one is not inside of an assistant configuration. And if we remove everything and put this in here, this is inside of an assistant configuration. But still, these are not supposed to be in there. So if we make another call, it should tell us that this is empty and it's not supposed to be. So let's make another call and see what happens there. Now keep in mind, if you look right here, it is replying to the assistant and it's saying that everything went right. So that's a 200 response. It's saying 200 means everything went right. We got a response, but that only means that the JSON was correct. So we didn't miss a comma, for example. So if we were to remove this, if we reply with this, it would say that there is an error. If we reply with this, it will not say that it was an error, even though there actually is, because Vapi is not expecting this specific configuration because these two things are still in there. So the way that you're going to see that you're still sending a wrong agent is by going to the next run right here, and that type is of status update. So you have assistant request, status update, end of call report, for example. But if the status is ended and ended reason is populated, that means that if you go in here, you can actually find what went wrong. In this case, couldn't get assistant because it didn't reply with an assistant. All right, going back into this scenario, we've replaced this with an actual assistant, but the assistant payload, that's what that's called, all of this, assistant payload is still not correct. There's some things in there that Vapi doesn't need or that Vapi doesn't want you to add to that assistant. So let's make that call again, and then I can explain to you what that actually means. So if we go in here, copy that phone number, make another call. It's still going to say everything is okay. It's going to give a positive message. There we go. But then if we go back and look at what Vapi sent us, assistant request. So this is different. This did not say it did not reply with any assistant because there was an assistant, but the assistant payload was not correct. As you can see, assistant.property ID should not exist. Assistant.property org ID should not exist. Assistant property created add should not exist. So all of these things in the assistant request error are supposed to be removed. If we were to remove this from the JSON, it will actually answer with that assistant configuration. So if we go in here and copy this, assistant, okay. So this is how we're going to read this. I'm just going to show you what that looks like. So these are all of the things that we have to fix. Assistant.property ID, assistant.property or org ID. So how do you actually read this? How do you find the things that you're going to have to remove? Now, I've already kind of told you what you're supposed to do, the ID, the org ID. But if you look more closely, it's already telling you where to find it. So assistant, that's the first step. Well, that's an obvious one. Everything is an assistant. If you were to click this little arrow right here, everything is in the assistant payload. So everything is always going to say assistant right here. Then if there's another path, for example, if this was not supposed to be there, similarity boost, it would actually look like this. Just to give you an example. And then you can already figure out, so that's how that works. This is what it would look like. Assistant, voice, dot property, and then similarity boost. Should not exist. So this is actually telling you what the path is. So everything is at the assistant level that we have to remove, because this one is not something that we have to remove, but it's at the voice level. So if you go right here, assistant, right? So everything's in assistant, voice, all right? So it's inside of voice. That's the next step. Assistant dot voice dot property. And property just means one of the properties in a list. So this voice has a list of properties, as you can see. And which property are we looking for? Similarity boost. So we're going to go in here, similarity boost. So if that was in there, we would just have to remove that, and then it would improve that assistant. So if we look at the other ones, it's going to make it easier for us. Assistant dot property, so it's already inside of the assistant. So there's nothing below that. It's inside of the assistant, and it could be either here, or it could be all the way here. Is that right? Let's see one that is right. So it could also be end of call message, or it could be ID. In this case, of course, it's ID. One way that you can actually figure that out is by seeing this line right here. So this is the first line after assistant. It's a very small line. You have to have good eyes in order to see it. But everything at that level is going to be at the first level under assistant. So what we have to do is we go right here, ID, org ID, created at, and updated at. Let's do those first. ID has to be removed. Org ID has to be removed. Created at and updated at. Both of these have to be removed. And lastly, is serve URL secret has to be removed. So remove this one as well. Now, of course, this one is going to give an error. This is just something you have to know in JSON. If there's nothing, no properties coming after this curly bracket, remove that comma. So a comma is only used when there's more properties coming up. If there's no more properties, remove that comma. For example, this one has a comma, this one does not. So if we were to remove this, it will give an error. If we were to add a comma here, there's no properties below that, it will give an error. So that's kind of how you could read that. Right now, we've removed all of the properties that are not supposed to be in there, but we still have our agent configuration. If we go in here, our transient agent should work. So go back in here. This is a working agent. So that means we can actually reply to that request with this working agent. And before we do that, I'm actually going to show you guys what the advantage to that is. So for example, this is a very common one, current time. Actually, current time API. Now this is of course something you can also use the now variable for in make.com, or just a now variable in Vapi. I'm quite familiar with that, if you're familiar with that. But just to make it simple to understand what is the purpose of these transient assistants, let's see. Or actually this might also just be how we're going to do that, is if we go to add a set variable module, what is that module? It's just something that you can plug into the workflow and use elsewhere. So current time in EST, for example. If you always want the agent to know the current time in EST, you're going to go here and you're going to go to format date. So this is just something a bit more advanced, but this is how you're going to do that. So you go DD, MM, Y, H, MM, and then DD, and then Z, for example, and add this, and then EST. So what this does, it gives the current time in days, months, years, then hours, then minutes, then the full day, so Friday, or so the full weekday written out, and then also the time zone. And the time zone is going to be in EST. I'll probably do a video on this in the future so you can actually understand what this, how this works. Oh, we actually have to change this. DDMMYY. Let's see. DDMM. It's going to look a bit strange if we don't do it in capitals. And HMM. This is one that you guys are probably more familiar with. All right, so the current day is the 19th of January 2025, 10:43. Okay, so we're actually going to, let's change that into, I thought it was A, is PM, AM. Okay, yeah. So if we do it like that, let's see if that works. So this is something you can actually play around with in order to see how to make it work. All right, 10:44 Sunday EST. So that's the current time in Eastern time zone. And that's something you can actually plug into that agent. So we're going to clone this, move that one just to make it easy to understand. This is in the middle. Still only a system requests are going to go through. This one produces the current time in EST. And we want our agent to be able to know the current time in EST. We're going to go here. Again, as I've said, content is the prompt. We can scroll all the way down here and tell it the current date and time in EST is, and then add this right here. So we'll actually be able to tell the current day and time in EST. And that's what you can use that for. And you, of course, you can add all sorts of things to it. Available time slots, information about the caller. So you go add a module here, like a HubSpot module, find all information about that caller by their phone number, because you're also getting that phone number, and then plugging all of that information into the prompt, and then your agent will know all of these things about your customer, allowing it to give way more personalized responses to their questions. And that's how transient agents work. So I hope this guide was very useful to you. If you want to get everything out of AI agents in 2025, I would highly advise you to dive deep into this AI agent stuff and figure out how it works. Just for now, let's actually make that call and prove that this thing works. And yeah, let's hear what it sounds like. So I'll be back with you guys in a bit. All right, so I switched to a different mic, and we're gonna make this call and yeah, check out what it sounds like. So let's make that call, see if it works.
Hello, this is Flerio's receptionist. How can I help?
Hi, I was wondering, what do you guys do at Flereo?
Hi there. At Flerio, we specialize in AI-driven solutions that streamline and automate various business operations. This includes services like low-code development, conversational AI, and workflow automation.
Oh wow, that sounds great. Yeah, so
I'm glad.
how could you actually help us? We're a solar agency here in Dubai.
That's fantastic. We can definitely help you. Are there specific areas where you're looking to enhance efficiency or automate processes? Maybe customer interactions, managing workflows, or something else?
Actually, could you remind me, what is the current time in EST?
Sure thing. The current time in EST is 10:48 a.m. on Sunday, January 19th, 2025. How can I assist you further?
All right, perfect. That's great to know. Thank you. Have a nice day. That was all I needed to know. Thank you for picking up the call. Thank you for being a transient agent, and good luck to you. All right, so thank you for watching this video. If this helped you in any way, be sure to let me know in the comments and also subscribe to this channel. One thing I would also encourage you to do, we have our members platform at members.fleao.com. Of course, as I've already mentioned, you can download the resources for this video at resources if you make a free account. Everything in here is free. You can go to the resources right here, and this will be the newest video that you see right here, or you can type it in, search by title, and you can find this video and you can get the resources that you need in order to quickly set up this transient agent, and also get some tips and tricks on how to build and use these transient agents. Also, there's lots of other things that you can do in here. You can book a one-on-one session with me. I do consulting sessions with people who want to build their agents or want to troubleshoot their agents or builds. And also you can join the partner portal. There's a list of people and builders that you can reach out to work with. And there's also there's already a whole list of people that have joined that partner portal. Of course, you can also join our community. We have a Discord community. The platform itself is at over 1,000 users, and the Discord community is already at over 500 users. It's really vivid, and that's something I really like. Very vibrant, I mean. So if you have any questions about building your transient agents, running into some things, you can join that Discord, ask a question, and someone in that chat will reply to you and help you along. Also, of course, you can work with us if you have a very specific and larger scale projects. There was a time where we did smaller scale agent builds. We don't do those anymore. If you have very more high level project that you want to work with us on, then reach out to us. We can see if we can work together on that basis. If you are curious about the AI agent that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the 2025 AI Advantage agent, that's something we build on a per project basis. You can reach out to us, but also we sell the 2025 AI Advantage kit. The first idea was to just give a kit and make it hands off, but I've decided to also add some videos to it and update this agent every now and again with the latest features. So the really extensive agent that I talked about at the beginning of the video, you can get blueprints, you can get the Airtable base, the interface, and all of those make.com blueprints in this kit. So be sure to check that out if you're interested in that and get your advantage for 2025. In any case, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe, and yeah, good luck to you.